I didn't know much about David Leitch, the director of this film, The Fall Guy, until I actually watched this film and I did my research on him. The Fall Guy is a film about the protagonist. It's Colt Seavers, who is a stunt double for the biggest action film actor in the world at the time, well, in the movie, Tom Ryder, okay? Now, the love interest for Colt Seavers is Emily Blunt. Now, I'm gonna give you a little bit back story on the director, but as you can see right there, please, a lot of you guys watching my shit, like, share, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate it. David Leitch is the director of this film, 48 years old, from Wisconsin. He co-directed John Wick. He directed Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. He also directed Nobody, which came out in 2021. So he's directed some pretty heavy action film shit in the last 15 years. He also was a stunt double for, I think it was Brad Pitt, if I'm not mistaken, but he was a stunt double for a couple of years before he actually took on this film. The Fall Guy actually was a TV series that came out in the 1980s about a stunt double, Colt Seavers. So like I said, Colt Seavers is the stunt double for Tom Ryder. And Colt Seavers, we open up the film, Ryan Gosling's character, Colt Seavers, he meets Emily Blunt's character, and she is working on the set, working her way up, trying to get to her director position. But in this film, she is like the director of cinematography or cameras or some shit. So she's working her way up, okay? And on this set, Colt Seavers gets hurt. There's a freak accident, and what happens is he falls back on Hollywood. So he disappears for about 16 months. So about a year and a half, he is completely fallen off the face of the planet. But as you could see in the first couple of minutes of the movie, he had a love interest with Emily Blunt's character. They were talking about going on vacation together and all this other shit. And he gets hurt and breaks a couple of vertebrae in his back. Very serious injury. And he falls off the face of the planet. He takes a job at, a single amount a day, but he takes a job at one of these Mexican restaurants out here in Los Angeles as a valet guy. And he gets called by Tom Ryder's character's assistant producer, or his producer, who calls and says, hey, we really need you down here on the set for this film we're shooting in Australia. And the hook is, she says, whatever Emily Blunt's character's name is, she's directing it. She wants you. So he hasn't talked to her in almost a year and a half. So he still thinks, like most guys after a year and a half, most guys think, oh, I can get her back, right? So he goes to Australia. And mind you, like I said, he hasn't talked to anybody in Hollywood. He hasn't talked to Emily Blunt's character or anything. She sees him on the set. There's a lot of awkwardness. But we come to find out that the producer only brought him along because Tom Ryder, who he's the stunt double for, is missing. Without any spoilers, we find out that we see a whole about a 2 hour and 15 minute. This film was about 2 hours and 20 minutes of Colt Seavers fighting, doing a bunch of stunts, a bunch of crazy shit. Now, if you grew up in the 80s like me, right? I was born in 1984. You were raised in the 90s. You grew up on the Arnold Schwarzenegger films. You grew up watching A-Team. You grew up watching MacGyver, Jean-Claude Van Damme films, all of that shit. You would always watch these really crazy stunts they would do that were just like, what the fuck? And they play like some heavy hair metal in the background. And this film really did that. Like, so if you are a fan of action, you'll dig it. Now, fellas, if your wife or your girlfriend doesn't like action films and she loves love stories, there is a love story here. Emily Blunt's character and Colt Seavers, who was played by Ryan Gosling, there's love interest there. So you got the best of both worlds. You got the love story, you got the action, and you got a pretty decent film, honestly. I'm a fan of David Leitch now that I see that he's done, John Wick is one of the best fucking films in the last, action films in the last 15 years by far. This film, like I said, It's not serious. It's funny. It's quirky. It's kind of like satirical. But I would say just based upon the cinematography and the stunt coordinating and all that, I give it an 82. I thought it was a decent film. Ryan Gosling's a pretty good action hero. So, you know, I'm used to him being an action hero like he was in God Forgives or like he was in Drive. So I thought it was a good film. So like I said, I give it an 82.